Good morning, good afternoon, or good night to everyone watching this. Welcome to our non-human communication system presentation. My name is Axel Nicoya, and alongside my partners, Carlos and Jennifer, we're going to be presenting about whales and dolphins. Now, let me introduce you our agenda for today. In first place, we are going to be explaining some key concepts. Then, we're going to jump into the background information. And third place, we're going to be talking about the features of human communication that we can find in dolphins and whales. And finally, a brief conclusion giving our opinions and arguments. In first place, we have key concepts. First, we have echolocation. Echolocation is a biological system in which an animal produces sounds and then uses the returning echoes to obtain information about its surroundings. More than 1,000 species use echolocation, including most bats, all whales, and some small mammals. It is especially useful for animals that live in environments with little or no light, such as night, underground, or underwater. For these animals, echolocation helps them to find food, detect objects, navigate, or perceive their surroundings.
Okay, then we have cetaceans. Cetaceans are a group of mammals that live completely in the water. Their bodies are shaped like a fish, which helps them swim more easily. In this case, we can talk about whales and dolphins.
And then we have post-specific. In biology, is a type group of marine mammals such as whales, dolphins, and seals. And this key concept is very important during this presentation.
And finally, we have non-human communication. According to Pepperberg 2021, this term refers to how animals exchange information with one another. Non-human communication can involve sounds, movements, and different signals that express emotions or convey specific messages. However, these forms of communication are generally considered less complex than human language. So now let's talk about the background of our presentation. So let's begin by knowing how whales communicate. Whales are animals who spend their lives most of the time on huge depths, and they tend to navigate those areas or communicate with something that we call echolocation. So sperm whales tend to make sounds called clicks, and those whales with those sounds can find food, move in the darkness of the ocean, and put clicks together in different patterns called codas to talk between them. Each whale group has its own coda, and they can be considered as a special family language or dialect that they share. Due to those quotas, whales recognize each other and keep their family groups strong.
Now, let's focus on dolphins. Dolphins are highly social animals that use different types of sounds to communicate. In this case, we have clicks and whistles. Clicks are mainly used for echolocation. Dolphins produce these clicks and listen to the echoes that return. This allows them to perceive objects around them. On the other hand, whistles are mainly used for communication. They allow dolphins to communicate with other members of their species and most likely with other species. As fun fact is that there are some species that have signature whistles, such as bottlenose dolphins. These bottlenose dolphins, in their first year of life, develop a signature whistle that is an unique sound that allows them to be differentiated from other species.
Now, talking about whales and dolphins, they use a shared sound systems that let every member of their species create and hear signals. New technologies such as underwater gliders lets researchers listen to their calls as they happen, this giving us insight into how whales and dolphins interact and adapt to their surroundings. Well, talking about features, first of all, we have interchangeability. It means that all members of a species can both send and receive messages. Research confirms that cetaceans share acoustic system accessible to every individual in their group. For example, sperm whales use a standardized click sequence called codes to communicate. Similarly, orcas emit pod-specific pulses that allow them to recognize members of their own social group. This demonstrates communication is not limited to a few individuals, but is a shared capacity across their entire species. Secondly, we have feedback. Feedback refers to users being aware of what they are transmit, allowing conscious monitoring. A clear example comes from COVID-19 pandemic when sorry, when reduced vessel traffic lowered ocean noise. Researchers found that whales' stress hormones decreased significantly, proving that they detect and respond to their acoustic environment. When noise masks their calls, whales adjust their vocal effort, just like humans, raising their voice in a loud room. This shows that they continuously monitor and adapt to their communication. Third point would be specialization. This means the communication system serves no other function but to communicate, not transmit symptoms. Whale sounds, for instance, are fixed patterns of sounds that are separate from feeding or breathing sounds. Similarly, dolphins clearly distinguish echolocation clicks used for navigation from vocalizations used specifically for communication. These signals serve dedicate progress. They are not merely psychological expressions, but specialized tools for social interaction and reproduction. We have semanticity. It means that the system combines meaning through fixed relationship between signals and reference. In sperm whales, different coda combination correspond to different meanings. Scientists also found that dolphin signals serve as what researchers sonic representation of space. These acoustic patterns are not random noise. They carry an specific information that other members of a species can interpret.
Okay, so now let's talk about arbitrariness. It means that there is no natural connection between a sound and the meaning it represents. In this case, whales and dolphins use different vocal signals, and some of these signals are learned rather than completely determined by genetics. However, a learned signal is not necessarily an arbitrary symbol. Their vocal signals can be connected to specific situations, behaviors, or social purposes. For these reasons, whales and dolphins may show some characteristics of arbitrariness, but there is not enough evidence to confirm that their communication is arbitrary in the same way as the human language. Then we have the feature called discreteness. That means that communication is made up of separate and recognizable units. In this case, both animals produce different types of sounds, such as whistles, clicks, and songs that we mentioned before, which can be distinguished from one to another. These sounds can also form recognizable patterns and large structure. This shows that their communication is not simply just stream of sounds, like random sounds. So, for these reasons, discreteness is one of the human language features for which whales and dolphins show relative strong evidence. Then we have displacement. It means that the ability to communicate about something that is not immediately present. They communicate about their environment, social relationships, food, mating, and threats. However, there is much less evidence that they can communicate about things that are completely absent, such as events in the past or future or hypothetical situations. Displacement has not been clearly demonstrated in their natural communication systems. And then we have the feature called productivity. Productivity means the ability to create new messages by combining existing meaningful units in different ways. So, whales and dolphins have complex communication systems with many different signals, and some of these signals can be learned and shared with their groups. However, having many signals doesn't necessarily mean that a communication system is productive. There is currently not convincing evidence that whales or dolphins naturally combine their signals in new ways to create new meanings. Therefore, their communication can be complex and flexible without showing the productivity that we can find in human language.
Now, let me tell you a little bit about duality. In human language, duality means that meaningless units can be combined to create meaningful signs. For citations, duality has not yet been demonstrated. However, Sharma found that whale vocalizations have a combinatorial based on four features: rhythm, tempo, rubato, and ornamentation. This structure creates a much larger repertoire. Therefore, while scientists cannot yet confirm duality in citations, this finding could be an important step toward understanding whether they have something similar. Now, let me tell you about tradition. This means that communication patterns can be learned and passed from one individual to another individual through social learning. Citations show strong evidence of vocal traditions. According to Cernova 2023, orcas, sperm whales, dolphins can acquire and modify vocal repertoires, including songs, dialects, and signature whistles. That was the thing that I was explaining before. These transmissions can occur vertically from mothers to offspring, horizontally between individuals of the same generation, or obliquely from non-parent adults to younger individuals. Now, prevarication. This refers to the ability to communicate something that is false but that can mislead someone. So far, there is no formal evidence showing that whales or dolphins use communication to lie intentionally. As Fu 2021 explains, this possibility cannot be investigated because we are not able to understand what they're saying. We are not yet completely able to identify what they're saying, their language, because they don't produce words. We have struggled on decipher the codes that they produce. Then I'm going to move on and explaining learnability. This refers to the ability to learn and acquire different variations of a communication system. This, as same as prevarication, has not been fully confirmed in citations because of the same. We are not able to understand them, so we cannot investigate them. And finally, we have reflexiveness. As same as the last two features, we cannot say in certain that they are able to reflect about things because, for example, we can reflect about the things that we have done in the past of it, or if I did a mistake, I can stop and think about it. As I mentioned before, we are not able to understand these citations, so we don't know if they use their language to communicate.
Now we are going to give you our conclusion. Mine will be that citation communication shares key properties with human language system. For example, interchangeability is present through shared acoustic system across species. Feedback is evident through stress response to noise and vocal adaptation. And the third one will be specialization is confirmed through dedicated communicative functions separate from other biological processes. And finally, we have semanticity. It is supported through different signals combine different meanings. Therefore, citation communication demonstrates, in my case, four fundamental features of human language: interchangeability, feedback, specialization, and semanticity. The evidence is strongly, and it suggests these marine mammals possess sophisticated communication system that refers to human language in a meaningful ways.
Okay, talking about my conclusion, I will consider that whales and dolphins are animals that have the ability to communicate between them with their own tools, the ones that they get through the evolution. But I will say that talking about the features that they share with our communication systems, I think that discreteness is the only one in my case who shares the most strong information with the human one, because we both of us try to communicate with recognizable units. When we are talking, we are giving a speech, we are saying something that makes sense in an order, and whales and dolphins can do that. On the other hand, we have arbitrariness, we have also displacement and productivity, that these three features doesn't have the enough amount of information that can prove that whales and dolphins can do the same things that humans can do. So I will say, considering also my classmates' opinions, that whales and dolphins have their own communication system, but this system is not that similar that we as humans have.
Okay, from my point of view, and also taking in consideration my partner's opinion, I would say that it's a pity that there is some information that we cannot find or that we cannot investigate yet because of the lack of information or because the lack of the ability to decipher what they say. Because I think if we would have the opportunity to understand what they're saying, we will find out that maybe they are more similar with us than we think. So, in my opinion, finally, I would say that if with the information that we have, it is clear that they have their own system, their own communication system. But yet, thanks to the information that we have, we cannot completely say that it is or that it has a relation with our human communication system.
Okay, so now let's cover just briefly our references. In this case, we have a lot of them. Some of them are in, most of them are in English, some of them are in Spanish. We have a couple of videos, and in general, our information is recollected with the purpose of understanding more about language and communication, but also to understand and to compare them with how whales and dolphins communicate. And we hope that all of those elements were covered in an effective way. So, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your attention.